I think it's something that we've addressed as a team, and it's a new test, a new challenge, and a new venue for us.
And do you expect the conditions to change much from Perth?
I do think it is. I think just from hearing what people say, the wicket is a little bit different here in Hobart to what we've had in Perth. So it's going to be a bit of adjustment. But I think if it's anything to go by the practice wickets that we've had, it's a good reference point for us going into the test.
Ben? Try and get the ball to reverse a bit early.
I think it is an asset for us if the ball can reverse. There are ways that you can try and exploit it when you're out there fielding. And I think it's an asset if you can try and utilise those things to your advantage.
And you're stuck up against them?
Definitely. I think for a bowler to be able to reverse the ball or to bowl with a reversing ball is a massive skill. We're fortunate. I think most of our bowlers, if not all our bowlers, can bowl with a reversing ball, which works in our favour quite nicely. As it worked out, Perth, the ball reversed in both innings for us when we were bowling, and it proved to be a massive asset for us.
Have you guys been
throwing the ball into the pitch?
It's definitely not a deliberate tactic of us trying to land the ball. Obviously, when you're on the boundary, there are rules that you're allowed to bounce the ball in from the boundary. I think all teams around the world use that tactic these days, and if you're allowed to use it to your advantage, I think all teams are welcome to do it, but obviously within the rules and regulations of the game.
And with that, strike them, do you think they're impatient?
I think that's just my nature, to try and irritate opposition, to be honest with you. I don't think I'm practicing it, I just think it comes naturally. But if that's the way they feel about it, it's not a bad thing. Just it's maybe something that an objective that I've achieved in the last test, and it's going to be something to try and work more going into the second test and then possibly the third test as well.
Love.
Yeah, I've known Cookie for a very long time. I've played a lot of cricket against him and with him for the A side, and I'm sure if I was in that position, I'd be a little bit frustrated because as a player in this environment, you want to make a contribution, and I know a guy who's just started his international career. He wants to make a big play for South Africa, which is very important for us, and it's welcoming, and everybody shares his frustrations, which I think is just human nature. So as a fellow opening partner for him, I share his frustrations with him. I'm frustrated on his behalf for him, but hopefully the good form and us winning the first test he can feed off that and make a big play for us coming into the second test.
Dean, the batting lineup, or the South African batting lineup, seems to have quite a diverse array of batsmen in terms of the approaches that they take. You know, the way you play, the way, say, Quinton plays, the way Faf plays. Is it an asset to you that you've got a number of different gears and you know, say, if it had been you guys chasing 500 in Perth, you could stonewall effectively and have done that in the past?
I wouldn't say that. I think chasing a big score like what we set the Australian side is a really difficult feat. It's never been achieved in cricket ever. So I'm not saying because of our dynamics in our batting unit it could have been achieved. I think it's a good thing for us to have quite a lot of array of flexible players within our batting unit. A guy like Ash, I mean, he didn't even contribute much in the first innings, and we know what he can achieve as well. So having a lot of other guys put up their hands and make a big play for the team is very important to us. But yeah, I think it's very important for us to have those different kinds of players within the team. I think it's a good dynamic and a good build for a good batting unit.
How much do you guys talk about that in terms of batting, I suppose, in complementary styles to each other, both within a partnership and down the order?
I don't think we talk about it at all. I think it just comes out naturally, to be honest with you.
Meredith?
just in the context of
Yes,
the debate?
it's Meredith in front of you.
I think this is the first time we've got to hear from you since the WACA performance. How pleased were you and how worried in hindsight about the pair that you got on debut?
Yeah, I'd like to put the pair to bed now. It's happened and it's in the past. But it was that I mentioned after the innings that I had a few gremlins going into the test and I had to just get off the mark that one in the first innings and put it to bed. But yeah, I'm glad it turned out in a good way for myself, and it turned out even better way for the team, which for me is the most important part of the first test.
Just from what...
Yes and no, to be honest with you. Trust me, us as a South African unit, we know that the Australian side is still a very dangerous side. and they. I think them being beaten in the first test is definitely working in their favour as well, because they can bounce back, and we're aware of their bounce back ability. So yeah, I think maybe the way the nature of the game panned out, maybe it is just a human nature way of you withdrawing yourself because of what you've been going through in the test. But we know, as I've mentioned, they're a dangerous team and they can bounce back hard in the second test.
Do you feel that once Dane was injured, perhaps we eased our foot off the accelerator a bit when we perhaps should have pressed harder?
It was difficult because we had another guy who maybe world cricket doesn't understand or haven't seen a lot of him yet, or hasn't seen the best of him in Kagiso Rabada. Even a guy like Vernon Philander put up his hand massively, and that's what our captain asked. He firstly asked the batters to put up their hand and be really feisty out there in the second innings, and we did it. And he asked our bowlers to try and replicate a performance like we did in the first innings by trying getting another 10 wickets in the second innings. But I just think that's the characters. And sure, it was a massive blow to lose Dale. His record speaks for itself. I don't have to blow him up. But yeah, it was a big loss for us, but I think it motivated our whole team.
Can you get the last three here?
Dean, just you spoke about Cookie and having played with him. The guy just one below, you've played with him quite a bit, Riley or so as well. What do you think, if he does get an opportunity, what he could bring to the side?
Sure, Riley's a different dynamic player. Obviously, he's a bit more of a middle order player. He's not really an opening batsman. If you're speaking as an opening pair, so his role is a lot different to where Cookies is. But if he comes in, I think he will just bring another dynamic of aggression into the game. That's his style of play. It's the way he approaches his cricket, which is great for us. But yeah, I don't think Riley's going to be needed just yet in the Test series, no.
And just in, did you ask for the ball at any stage on the last day?
I was quite welcome just to stand in the field and watch the other guys do their job.
Dean, a lot of people have said that you remind them of Graham Smith in terms of your nature and your demeanour on the field and that sort of thing. Have you ever looked at Graham as somebody that you trying to emulate?
Not really, no. I did admire the way he played the game, the way he approached his cricket as well. I don't think as a batter I ever looked at him and thinking I would like to emulate his similar technique, but his attitude, the way he played the game, and the way he conducted himself off and on the field is something I've definitely looked up to.
Thank you. There have been reports that Graham Smith has been critical of Australia and their culture. Do you agree?
To be honest, I wouldn't have a clue what Graham has said, to be honest with you. If he has said that, I'm sure that's just his personal dig that he's having. But no, I don't think there's a culture issue within the Australian side. I think, as I've mentioned before, we know that it's still a dangerous team and they can bounce back in the second test.